One of the biggest bands of the 80s are back in Ipswich this spring. Simple Minds conclude their latest UK tour with a show at the Regent Theatre. Well, earlier today I caught up with lead singer Jim Kerr, who has fond memories of the band's previous visits.
Really enjoyed it, can't tell you how much. It was great to see the place looking so good as well. I think they certainly refurbished and all in the interim years. I thought it was great and we enjoyed ourselves immensely.
I remember seeing you there back in the 1980s, so
right.
You did remember the venue, did you?
I did, yeah. It really did, but it was particular. I think the last gig we did there was the last night of our last UK tour. I think it's the same this time.
Yes, that's right.
I don't know why it's the place to end, but that suits me.
Leaving the best till last, you see, Jim.
Has to be.
And also in recent times you've done the open air at Thetford Forest, part of the Forestry Commission shows. What a fantastic night that was.
Yeah, we enjoyed all of those forest gigs, and it's amazing now, you go around the world and anywhere can be a venue, but enjoyed it.
Let's talk about your latest album, which includes the single, which I have played on the programme. We'll be playing it again in just a few moments, Let the Day Begin, which I do remember playing and indeed interviewing Michael Bean back in the 80s when that came out.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Wow.
What a fantastic band they were, The Call.
You're one of the few people who I've spoke to throughout the promotion for the record and the tour that's aware of Michael, never mind spoke to him, so that's nice.
Yeah, Modern Romans, I seem to recall, was the album.
Yeah.
What are your memories of hearing that for the first time?
Michael how we know Michael, how we knew The Call was that they opened for Simple Minds on a couple of tours that we did in the States in mid-80s, and the thing is, they might have been the opening act, but as far as we were concerned, they were the main act. They were that good, and Michael indeed was, he was about 10 years older than us, so back then that's quite a gap, and he became a bit of a guru, really. He certainly had this great knowledge of America, so outside of the actual shows it was great to be around him. And but as I was saying, first and foremost, I was a huge fan of the music, huge fan of his songs, his lyrics particularly, and for me it's them that come to the forefront in the song of his that we have covered and what's become our current single, Let the Day Begin. And
it was a bit of a mutual appreciation society, wasn't it, really, between the two groups? They rather liked you as well.
It was indeed. It was amazing with The Call, because although they're very much Oklahoma guys, which is a particular, it's deep America, and yet they knew about all of this stuff via, I think someone recorded them, the John Peel shows and stuff, so they were up to scratch with the latest obscure Mancunian band. And anyway, as you rightly say, he was a big fan of our music, and I remember the first time that I heard, or he told me about Let the Day Begin. He said, we've got a new one. He said, I think you might recognise some of the shape of it. And I don't think it's a million miles away from a song that we have called Waterfront, which I knew was one of Michael's favourite Simple Minds songs. So one might say that in us covering his song, it's us covering him doing us. And, it's turned out pretty well.
And Waterfront, a true Simple Minds anthem, still goes down extremely well today. You couldn't do a show without doing that, could you?
I don't think so. It's a particular sound, it's a particular dynamic. Not only is it, when I think of it, I think of the Pulse, I think of Charlie Burchell's guitars, but I think of Mel Gaynor's colossal drum beat, and it's a real moment when it comes out the speakers.
Is it fair to say Simple Minds music might be better suited now to some of the bigger venues than it might have been, in the heyday?
I think the band would maybe, I think all things, back then it was also new to us. Each and every step along the way was a development, but, each one was a trial by error, grown up in public. And I'm glad to say that most nights the reaction we got, the atmosphere we created seemed to go down very well, but with a wealth of experience now, musically and technically, I think there's no doubt in my mind that it is superior now.
And you've played some pretty big gigs in your time, haven't you? Any spring to mind?
Well, I suppose, there's the iconic gigs that, people are aware of, the Live Aids and the Mandela concerts and all of that stuff. I mean, someone reminded me the other day that Live Aid that we did from Philadelphia not only was in front of 130,000 people, but at that time I think Live Aid was the biggest global ratings of any TV event. Bigger than the Olympics, bigger than the World Cup, anything. And there's me up there with the wrong trousers. But they're the iconic ones. But when we're looking at in our career, we don't really separate things. They're all part of a journey, and the journey started doing all those little backwood pub gigs that to us were iconic because they were the first. It was us learning the game. And we might not have been selling any records, it might not have been looking like it was going very far, but every night you come off stage, even if you'd only played to 3 Men and a Dog, the reaction you got was encouraged you on to the next. And all of those Live Aids and Mandela gigs would never have come around without those early backwood gigs, so I loved them also.
Have you always been a front man, Jim, because you are now regarded as one of the leading front men in rock music?
Well, that's a real compliment. I mean, I think it is a very, specific role, fronting a band, fronting a powerful band. I mean, of course, there'd be nothing to front if it wasn't for the sound and the melodies and the great music. But it is a specific role, and as someone who grew up going to see as much live music as I could, when I looked down at my favourite bands and my favourite performers, they usually had a great front person.
In the early days, I sort of likened your voice to that of Brian Ferry. What are your thoughts about that? He was a big hero of yours at the time?
Very much so, yeah. I think a lot of the people that came out, the sort of post-punk, art rock, Roxy music were huge. And I mean, Brian Ferry's had no shortage of compliments in his years, but I still don't think he gets the credit. People say, "Oh, yeah, he's got a particular voice. He's got a great voice. He's a fantastic singer." And so, in our early days, sonically, lyrically, everything, it was about taking. It was about taking the inspiration from others and sort of using it as the soil to hopefully then grow something of ourselves out of that became unique to us.
And those early Roxy Music albums have most certainly stood the test of time, I think.
Indeed. It's funny you should say that, because we were playing in rehearsals last week. We had an arrangement of a couple of tunes, and we were segueing them, and I was trying to explain how it should be, and I said, well, when this bit comes in, it should be like Every Dream Home's a Heartache. And Charlie Burchill said, yeah, I get it, okay, that's it. So, we still use those Roxy Bowie references to what we're doing.